Well, we appreciate your company. To a very fast story, Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayine says he has personally assured former U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft that former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta would receive a fair trial if returned to Ghana. Speaking on Joy News Newsfile, Dr. Ayine said Mr. Ashcroft, who represents Ofori-Atta, sought guarantees for his client's constitutional rights, which he says are fully protected under Ghana's laws. He added that legal processes in the United States, including immigration hearings and possible appeals, could delay Ofori-Atta's return as the cause continues to develop.
John Ashcroft, the former Attorney General of the United States of America, all right, called me and said he was the one representing Ken Ofori-Atta in the matter. But his concerns, that the reason he called me was for me to assure him that when Ken is returned to Ghana, all right, he will get a fair trial. And I assured him of the fact that under this government and in accordance with Article 19 of the Constitution, his right to a fair trial is guaranteed. No one is going to, Ken Ofori-Atta is not he's not the person that will come here and we're going to treat him very shabbily and so on and so forth. He will be accorded due process of law. His fair trial rights will be guaranteed and so on. So I talked with John Ashcroft, but at the time, I could not, including the lawyer, the lawyer who granted the interview.
That's right.
So there were three lawyers who spoke to me via, a Zoom on that day when they were expressing concerns. Okay. So at that point in time, it was confidential. I could not mention John Ashcroft as his lawyer. All right. But I was simply saying that when you take the fact that he has these top lawyers coming to court in America to defend him, it is not going to be a day's work to bring him home. That's because, he will appear before, in this current matter, he will appear before an immigration judge. All right. On January 20th, he's appearing before an immigration judge. Right. He has a right to appeal that decision to a district court. Right. From the district court, he can go to a circuit court of appeals. Yeah. Then from there to the United States, Supreme Court. That is potentially the legal pathway to, the determination as to whether or not he should be taken from America. Right.
Attorney General and Minister for Justice Dr. Dominic Ayine also disclosed that Ghana's former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta did not overstay his visa in the United States as widely speculated, but had it formally revoked by the U.S. State Department.
So you know that even from day one, I didn't make this public, but I started investigating Ofori-Atta. All right. In fact, in his case, I'm doing it with, some foreign investigators that are tracking, all the offshore dealings and so on, all right? And then, of course, we are also doing our own investigations here. They are inconclusive as we speak. We have not, come to any conclusion. So
this is different from the SML?
It's different, totally different, and potentially mind-blowing, but you know that I will not, give any details at this point in time. So I started working with the Americans in respect of Ofori-Atta long before OSP, came up with their announcement. Yeah, I started working with them, and I want Ghanaians to know that he just didn't overstay his visa. The visa was actually revoked. So it's not that Ofori-Atta overstayed. So in July, the American government revoked, the State Department revoked his visa, all right? And they gave him up to November 29th of 2024 to leave the United States, okay? He did not. And then that is how come that they, decided they were going to, now pursue him, and arrest him. Actually, the arrest was supposed to occur on January 4th, and they did not do so, but on Tuesday, January 6th, they, apprehended him, in the Virginia area and took him into custody.
You're saying this is not exactly about immigration?
Yes, it's not exactly about immigration.
His visa his visa is not expired.
No, it was revoked. The visa was revoked. I am telling you this on authority.
Meanwhile, investigative journalist Manasseh Azuri-Awoni has been sharing details of how U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers whisked Mr. Ofori-Atta from his U.S. residence into detention.
The information is that on Tuesday morning at about 11 a.m., Ken Ofori-Atta was moving out of this building, and as soon as he stepped outside of this building, the agents of ICE surrounded him, got him into a car, and drove him away to this detention center, the Caroline Detention Center in Virginia, which is about 89 miles from the exact location where he was arrested. And they say that this was like a targeted operation. Sometimes ICE officials or agents raid places and arrest or conduct mass arrest, but everything I'm hearing from sources that were present when Ken was picked up shows that it was a targeted operation. They appear to have come to lay ambush, and as soon as he emerged, they surrounded him, got him into the vehicle, and then drove him away about an hour and a half drive to where he's currently being detained.
Now, away from that, President Mahama has directed a comprehensive review and potential renegotiation of the contract between the National Lottery Authority and KGL Group Limited, or KGL Group Technology Limited. The order contained in a memorandum from the Secretary of the President, Dr. Callistus Mahama, cites recent publications by the Fourth Estate and preliminary consultations with the Attorney General and the Finance Minister as the trigger for the action. Here's more.
The presidential directive states that the primary objectives of the review are to ensure complete protection of the public interest, value for money, and strict compliance with applicable laws, regulations, and government policy. A joint technical team to be constituted by the Attorney General in collaboration with the Finance Minister and the Minister responsible for the NLA will conduct the exercise. The team is mandated to submit its recommendations to the President within a specified time frame. The review will be wide-ranging and will specifically examine the legal basis, scope, duration, and financial terms of the contract. It will also assess all revenue-sharing arrangements, fees, commissions, exclusivity clauses, and any potential liabilities for the state. The team will determine the contract's compliance with the Constitution, the Public Procurement Act, the National Lottery Act, and all relevant approvals. It will also evaluate performance obligations, transparency requirements, data ownership, and audit rights with the goal of identifying any contractual clauses that unduly prejudice the state or constrain regulatory oversight. Pending the outcome, all parties involved have been directed to cooperate fully with the review team and provide unfettered access to all contracts, correspondence, financial records, and operational data.
Now, away from that, on Accra's Ashalaja Amasaman route, drivers like Stephen Kumi wake up every day chasing a simple dream to earn an earnest living. Instead, they are forced to battle deep potholes and frequent breakdowns. Kumi's work and pay vehicles is slowly falling apart, and he is not alone. Drivers and residents who ply this route say the poor road network is turning daily travel into a nightmare. In our first episode of our feature series, Roads of Peril, my colleague Pearl Fosu focuses on the poor road network in communities in the Amasaman constituency.
It's dusty, uneven, and almost impassable. This is the Amasaman constituency, where large stretches of road remain untarred and have been in this state for years. I meet Stephen Kumi, a driver who has plied this route for a decade, and he says every trip is a painful experience. The 50-year-old native of Amasaman Kese once hoped to become a teacher, but a lack of funds forced him to abandon school. He later trained as a mechanic before eventually becoming a driver. While he loves his job, the condition of the roads has turned every trip into a struggle.
Since from inception, this road has not seen a major transformation or something. It's very, very bad. In the election time, they will come and grade for us. Yes. After that, nobody will come here again. They will pack their tools after election. It's unfortunate. We are pleading with government and our MP, Mr. Senyo, come and look this road for us. From Amasaman to Obom, Amasaman has so many villages. So many villages. This place.
Kumi is not alone. Drivers here share similar experiences.
The human rights cancer. Me Accra local secretary. Na ekwa we ya bon ya demonstrations sa ya demo ya bre. It is here. You see no ya you say because say edu campaign te won ma ba. Ma dada ya na ye di omochi. Is there if I am wadwin. See the kwana say kura. Hwe ka vura mi kura hwe. Asenya mo nyina say. Ampa o. Asenya mo nyina say. Is me dua bia fa manye sika akoto. Pastor no. Just say kwan de nye. To frank kwan de say say hwe cars ebi wo kura shop. U ko kura anima kura won se kan ebi si o. Asay is kwan so.
We drive through Amasaman 3 Junction, Ashalaja, Ayine Doblo, Akraman, and Doblo Gono. The vehicle wobbles constantly as we ply the uneven terrain. It takes a great deal of patience and skill to maneuver through this corridor. Vehicle breakdowns are a common sight in these communities. Drivers say more than a dozen break down every week.
Melodufre Amasaman to Akraman. Mr. Shashe in Deka Nam Quine Zukra 1 week from Menya. In fact, Manu who crossed him in Nam Quine also. Madame Sonny Hunam Yina Rayamea. Nanserian Mabitua Quines, and Mabitua Nucrano. Still none in Shinas out on Gassaseno. You should gas out to cry the cry, dear cry, and your cry. Naman you attack quinos, none will be dear cry, can't be crying, Jabos and Shell, Jabos and Mamma, Jabos and Classay. In fact, where the Evesre in Penifona, Omoya, no Mamma Boyana, Quano Moya Quano Mai. Ye ban school for Muko complaining Classay. Quining your Ombefaka, Ombombe Cofino, no Hunamunina Omoya, Ombeko, Daisy Damino Damianzano, na Omabre.
Former Assembly member for Ukushi-Biade, Daniel Kwabna Ampon, says all efforts to draw attention to the deplorable state of the roads during his tenure failed to yield any results.
I've done most of the demonstrations in this place, call people, goes to major institutions to make sure this road will be constructed, but yet still I think they don't care, they don't mind. But I hope the government has changed, so we're really championing that the government will look back.
With sections of the Amasaman portion of the Accra-Kumasi Highway still incomplete, heavy-duty trucks diverting through the communities have worsened the situation.
Ahaye Dobrogono. Na Dobrogono no ye kwan we me ba kwan we so 2004. Na ente kwan ente sei. Ba bedru ba bi kwan no ye hwe kwan se de kwan se tie a. Ananti ho aka ho asem a omufie. Titem bia every present day ye ko shop se me ni wo kase kura na a mo ye me interview me ni wo kase. Bi fi shop na be. Makwa boso kan aba bedru ha. Akose almost 3000 me nsem. Enso stay na de be chi no me san ko shop bio. Tem bia ko fe lie is san ho a inipa ko hu ntokwa a ore kura be ho. Adenti.
Like drivers, traders are also feeling the brunt of the poor road conditions. Ifwa Santoa, a petty trader, explains that accessing reliable transport for her goods is a constant struggle.
ye bre papa nti ama ye lole fe no kra ne boy din.
About 100 meters from the Ashalaja Bridge, I meet Janet Inkum. On her own initiative, she fills deep potholes with sand, offering a temporary relief to drivers, commuters and residents who use the stretch every day.
Obia support so me da. Obia support say me da. Me to be renting house mu. Say be drivers ya. Ebi obi twem a 1 cedi. Obi twem a 5 cedis. Obi ono twem no hwe edwuma na me ye no na eye ne fa. Ebi ono ama 20 cedis. Eno ana me boaboa no kakra ama pe bia so.
Before leaving, I asked Janet if I could help with the work. Of course, without taking a peswa. Gawa's Municipal Chief Executive John Desmond Soanai admits that the state of roads in many communities is a cause for concern, but assures residents that measures are being put in place to address the problem.
Gawa's as a municipality, we also making efforts to reshape some of the roads by using the trip equipment. But reshaping is not a solution, because when you reshape the road and it rains, it becomes worse. And the more you reshape, it means that you are taking off the surface soil and it's going down. And when you reshape, it makes it easier for the surface to be eroded. But for the networks that we've talked about, the road network we talk about, if these roads are considered, because these are major roads, and this connects to other municipalities, so therefore it makes Accra central and easily commutable. It means that we are diverting traffic if you want to go to Kumasi. So this is not just for farming purposes, it's also a measure to urbanize the other areas to ease the pressure on Accra.
Back in the communities, drivers like Stephen Kumi say their request is simple.
It's a manhole, madam.
This is a manhole.
It's a manhole.
Decent roads that reduce breakdowns and restore dignity to daily travel. For Joy News, I am Ayine Ofori.
And now let's turn our attention to the Ghana Education Service. The Ghana Education Service has issued a strong warning to school heads across the country over illegal registration for this year's WASSCE. In a statement, the GES says only Form 3 students with verified records are eligible, cautioning that any administrator who flouts the rules will face strict sanctions. I'm joined on Zoom by Head of Public Relations at GES, Daniel Fenyi. Good afternoon, Daniel, and thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
All right, so to our very first question, the statement refers to some heads engaging in unauthorized WASSCE registration. Can you tell us how widespread this practice is and whether specific regions or schools have been identified by the service?
Yes, indeed. Let me indicate that the situation is not as widespread, but we believe that even if it's just instance of 1 or 2, and since it is an illegality, we need to still curb it and not wait till it gains national level prominence. Our argument as Ghana Education Service simply is that the scores that we see the students get in the WASSCE, so when they go for the WASSCE certificate, the grades that you see on their certificate, it's not only scores from the sit-down exams they wrote. It is partly accumulation of the scores and the marks they got even in school, right from Form 1, Form 2, and then Form 3. These school marks and scores are accumulated, put together, and sent to WAEC as a class score. And then the marks they obtain from the WASSCE is also examination score put together. That becomes the grades that they obtain, and you would see on their certificate. So if a head is registering a Form 2 student or a Form 1 student or a private candidate who is not in the school, what it means is that the head may have to manufacture scores or grades for, the class score or the school scores for the learner, and that is grossly unacceptable. You don't manufacture results, you don't manufacture grades. You give the learners the opportunity to earn the results that they get. And so for us, if a student is not in Form 3, it means that they have not gotten all the accumulated scores they should get in school. And so we need to patiently take them through the process to get these scores. That is number one. Number two, school is not only about the production of grades and results. School teaches so many things, including procedures, including processes, including patience, including doing the right thing. And so if our children who are largely innocent going about their academic businesses are helped and fast-tracked into the system, what happens is that they graduate, go out to the field of work, and in anything they do, they want it fast-tracked because that's how they got it in school. And we wouldn't want that situation to happen where in future, you go to a hospital, you find doctors who want to fast-track everything for you. You go to, in future, you see engineers who want to fast-track the construction of roads and not necessarily interested in the quality, interested in the procedure, interested in the right processes. And so our appeal and caution is to our school leaders that we have entrusted into your hands a certain number of students right from first year. These are the students you are accountable for. And so ensure that you register these students whose track records, academic progression, scores they obtained, attitudes in school are traceable in the school database before you register them. If you register anybody who is not part of the cohort you would have to register, that means that you are abusing your office, that means that you are engaging in an illegality, and you will definitely be made to face GES rules and regulations and WASSCE regulations. Yes.
Well, Daniel, you mentioned that these illegal registrations are often done in exchange for fees. Is the GES investigating how much money is being charged, and what measures are in place to ensure that parents or students are refunded if wrongdoing is established?
Indeed, the monies seem to be the incentive for this exercise, because our observation is that ordinarily a head will not register a Form 2 student who walks up to them that they want to write the WASSCE exams, or a private student who walks up to them that they want to write the exams. So largely they do this because they are able to take monies from these students, and the monies range in different amounts. But of course, our initial monitoring team, our initial observations are in place, and we would collate all the list. We are already getting a lot of reports from private individuals, some teachers in the various schools who also believe that this exercise is not the right thing. We would also cross-check with our systems here. If we realize that such unauthorized registration has taken place, then we take you through the right regulatory processes. So at the moment, of course, it is in the initial stages, but our team is on the grounds monitoring and everything. You know, one of the things this administration has vouched and promised is that we are going to ensure, enhance, if possible, restore the integrity of the WASSCE examination. Normally, when we say this, the thinking is that, then that means we will strengthen the invigilation. That means that we will make sure monitoring during the examination is strong and all that. But for us, we believe that the examination itself begins even from the registration process. And that is why our team is on the ground, monitoring, observing, recording some of these instances so that we take it up from there. But our school heads, various school heads should take this as a word of advice and caution that you are not allowed to register any student who is not in your school, who is in Form 2 or Form 1, or generally not qualified to take the WASSCE examination. That doesn't help you, it doesn't help the nation, it doesn't help anybody at all. Yes.
So then, if the directive is saying only Form 3 students with traceable records from year 1 to Year 3 are eligible. How then is the GES going to audit school databases to ensure that Form 2 students have not already been registered for WASSCE?
Indeed, we constantly and continuously audit the data records that we receive, not only for the WASSCE, but for all other things, including the feeding provided to the students, infrastructure provided. So constantly, in terms of auditing, it is an exercise that the Ghana Education Service consistently do. And that's exactly what we are doing with the registration exercise as well. But even before that, or even aside this auditing, we want to indulge the integrity of the school leaders and the headmasters and the headmistresses in charge of these schools. That we don't even want a situation where they will perpetrate illegality, and now the burden is on national to make sure we audit and find the right thing. If you do that, then you don't even deserve to be in the office in the first place. So we believe that the integrity of our school leaders to first even be endorsed so that they do the right thing. In that case, when we are auditing at the national level, it becomes even easier because largely only Form 3 students who have scores for first year, scores for second year, and scores for third year, traceable ones, would be registered. So at the national level, we engage in auditing, we cross-check, we monitor, we observe, we make sure we do all the necessary pruning and all that. But at the school level, we want to see the integrity of our heads at play during this registration exercises. And for that matter, if anyone compromises on this, then you really have the law to face.
Daniel, you want that offenders will face severe sanctions under GES and WASSCE regulations. Can you clarify whether these sanctions could include outright dismissal, interdiction, or withdrawal of a school's registration privileges?
Indeed, depending on the extent to which we would establish a school leader has or a school head has gone in this illegality, and depending on the investigations reviewed, we have observed that, of course, there are varied levels of these illegalities. So for some, they are registering the students at certain amounts, others are registering all manner of things. And so the offenses may not be the same or have the same bearing on the law. But what I can tell you is that if you are a head who conduct yourself in that manner, first, you are abusing the office you hold. And anyone who abuses the office they hold do not deserve to hold that office. And so, yes, you could face several sanctions, including losing your position as the head, of course, because the system cannot track you anymore. You could be dismissed depending on the extent of the offense. You could lose your job. You could be sent to a lower rank, depending on but these are sanctions that the Ghana Education Service is already thinking about. But the bottom line is that if you are seen doing that, it means that the system cannot trust you with anything sensitive. So you may not have to hold that position.
So then, since school-based registration of private candidates is prohibited, what guidance is Ghana Education Service giving to private individuals to ensure they register through the proper authorized WASSCE channels without involving school heads?
Yes, so for private candidates, and here I want to be a bit careful because I'm not speaking for WASSCE, but what we know is that for private candidates, WASSCE has an outlet, normally known as NOVDEC. That private outlet is open for anyone who is interested in taking the examination. And so for private candidate or any individual at all who would want to test their pulse or test their performance, and who would want to engage in some form of external examination just to be able to see or prepare themselves, sometimes even for the WASSCE or the public WASSCE examination, you may want to register for the NOVDEC that do not have restrictions, that do not have any serious restrictions, right? And so for private candidates or any other candidate, they may want to explore that route. But for us at Ghana Education Service, we believe that every head teacher or every manager of a school has a particular number of students they are accountable for, and it is that number they expect them to work with, register, monitor, and see them peacefully through the WASSCE exercise. And so if a student is not posted to you, a student didn't go through first year, second year in your school, a student didn't go through the process, then we don't expect you to illegally sneak them into the list. Once you do that, then there's a problem. If any student who is private candidate or a first year, second year student who believes that they want to test their competence, private examination or an OBDEC is there for them to explore. Again, let me indicate that I'm carefully saying this because I don't speak for WAEC. I believe they may have some other alternatives too. But for us as Ghana Education Service, we are accountable for the students under us. We are accountable for the students we take care of, and we want to see them through the right procedures and right processes without compromising on anything. Yes.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Daniel. And Daniel is the PRO for Ghana Education Service, and he was giving us an update on the registration of WASSCE. Well, we'll take a break here. When we come back with more news, stay with us. Well, thanks for joining us and welcome back. Now, some farmers in the Tolon, Kumbungu and Sanarigu municipality in the northern region are counting their losses after a wave of bushfires swept through their farms, destroying crops and livelihoods. In Degbinmani community, 74-year-old Yusuf Abdul Majid, a retired agriculturalist, watched in despair as his entire 12-acre harvest was consumed by flames. He told Joy News it was like his world was burning when he watched his entire venture go up in flames.
The issue of bushfire is an annual terror each year that destroys thousands of maize, cowpea, rice, among other food staples in the northern region. Experts have said the impact is huge. This year, Mr. Majid has scaled down on his farming due to age, but still lost everything to bushfires.
We lost everything I cannot account for. Because I was doing very big, so many farms, like rice. As I've taken, we were able to make rice, yam, granules, and then millet, and then corn. But this year I decided to make the rice. Yeah, because I'm going, the age is no more something that can make me go far. We didn't know where and how it came about. The fire just came in just at the flash. Because it was far, we saw the wind, and the fire was burning very, very far. So we thought it was something that would not come in because we made a belt around the farm.
He said he took a loan to farm, hoping to sell and repay the loan and store some of the farm produce for his survival, but has nothing to depend on.
In fact, we took loan. And my family, everybody, we asked everybody, I asked everybody of my family and every friend who were around just to forget everything and leave it to all night.
District Agric Officer at the Department of Agriculture, Kumbungu, Abdul Karim Yakubu, said bushfires is a huge challenge facing agriculture in the region. It's actually affecting the kind of food security that we are yearning to have for Ghana, because the number of bags that the person would have attained from the field are all lost. And so those people who are waiting for the harvest to come and then they will buy from the markets and be able to feed their families are going to be denied that. And most of the farmer who has also incurred a lot of cost in managing the farm, look at the amount they've used in cultivating an acre. For instance, it was 200 Ghana cedis last year. And now 16 acres, if you multiply the cost of even tillage, is not easy.
how more the cost of fertilizer, weedicides, and then the cost of labor. If we burn it completely like that, it can cause a kind of unrest in the society that they are living, and that will not be healthy for us as a country. So bushfires is considered as a national security threat, and I think the government of the day, they must do all that they can to protect our crops and farms.
For now, members of these communities are coming together to help these farmers with food. The road to recovery will be long for farmers like Majid. The fight to rebuild is just beginning. For Joy News, I am Martina Bugwe reporting.
And to another unfortunate fire incident, a tense confrontation erupted in Kula as farmers accused hunters of setting fire to their farms, sparking a wave of outrage and concern among several communities. The blaze allegedly ravaged hundreds of acres of farmland in several communities, destroying crops of cowpea, rice, maize, and leaving many families facing significant losses. Eyewitnesses claim the fire was sparked by hunters who are often at odds with farmers over land use. Bush burning gets intense each year from December to January, destroying farms.
The incident has reignited tension between hunters and farmers in the area, with both sides often clashing over fire outbreaks. Last year, similar incidents were recorded in Zabzugu, highlighting the need for urgent action to address the issues of bush burning in the northern region. Stakeholders are urging calm and calling for a collaborative approach to resolve the issue. Assemblyman for the area, Mohammed Mumuni, explained to Joy News what happened.
The past 3 years, every harvesting season, the hunters come. When they come, some of them are coming to burn the inputs and then farming crops and then things and go away. Last three years, when they come, they burnt cowpea farm. Last 3 weeks, they burned another rice farm. So because of that incident, the committee members called me. When they called me a Wednesday, on the 7th of January, and explained the story to me, I go to the community yesterday and tell them that the incident is not a small incident. So I will try and get some media person when they brought them, so that I will discuss the issue to them, so that they can help us and tell the maybe the hunters that we are not finished the harvesting. We meet some hunters. When we meet them, they try to use their guns and fight. When they fire the guns, they left to the river side. So we hasn't identified any of them. One of our people, the farmers, they also have some local ones. They want to do self-protection. But so if you see the video, that's why I'm protecting them. I tell him not to do that. So that's the incident happened.
He said an official complaint has been made to the Sanergu Municipal Police.
We come to the police station this afternoon. Then when we come, we meet a municipal police commander, because yesterday I speak to the municipal police commander, but this morning I speak to the regional police commander again, and then chiefs of the area, and then Pentalna, the sub chief, and the municipal coordinator, and then municipal chief executive. They all are aware about that this incident.
Now, drivers and passengers plying the Tamale-Wale-Bolgatanga highway are voicing fears of attacks after police were withdrawn from the route. The move, reportedly ordered by the Inspector General of Police due to intelligence on potential attacks, has left travelers worried that the already poor road conditions could encourage highway robberies and put lives at risk. My correspondent, Ilyasu Tanko, reports.
The Tamale-Walewale-Bolgatanga section of the National Road 10 is one of the most strategic transport corridors in northern Ghana. It links the northern, northeast, and upper east regions and serves as a vital route for the movement of people, foodstuff, fuel, and commercial goods to and from neighboring countries, particularly Burkina Faso and Togo. Despite carrying a high volume of traffic, the highway has suffered years of neglect and has deteriorated to dangerous levels. It is riddled with potholes, contributing to frequent accidents and creating opportunities for robbery attacks. Vehicle breakdowns are also common due to the poor state of the road. As part of measures to secure the highway against robbery and other road offenses, the Ghana Police Service previously increased the number of checkpoints and deploy additional personnel. These measures led to a significant reduction in attacks and accidents along the routes. However, for the first time in the history of this busy transport corridor, a violent incident against the police has resulted in a complete closure of nearly 20 checkpoints and the withdrawal of all police personnel along the highway. The police pullout was reportedly ordered by the Inspector General of Police following the fatal attack on a police officer on December 28 by armed men at a checkpoint between Karaminga in the northeast region and Pualugu in the upper east region. The police say they also received intelligence pointing to further imminent attacks on officers. Here is the Walewale District Police Commander, ASP Seth Ejekum, confirming the IGP's directive.
We will be there upon the recommendations from the regional commander, by extension IGP. It is from IGP's directives.
Please, is it related to the incident that occurred where an officer was shot dead?
It is. In relation to the Wulugu Karaminga attack.
The security withdrawal has left one of the busiest highways in northern Ghana unguarded, with drivers and passengers expressing fears of a possible surge in robbery attacks and road crashes. At the Bolga station in Tamale, a commercial driver who has plied the route for years described the situation as frightening.
It's very bad. The way the road is, no police on the road. If you are traveling in the night time, it's very risky for we the drivers. Sometimes if it is 6 o'clock, you can't move your car again. So we are pleading on the police to come back and be on the road because it's very risky. Nobody can travel in the night time again. Yesterday like this, they robbed about 3 cars. Why? They should come and help us.
Another driver, Jalil Bashir, says he has been compelled to reduce his operational hours due to the absence of police officers. At the Walewale Lorry Station, driver Pam Nkrumah appealed for the immediate return of law enforcement officers.
To be honest, if the police are back, we all will be very grateful because at times if they are there, I can move for 10 o'clock or even 11 o'clock. If they know that police are standing within this, moving by 24 kilometers away, maybe they will also like to come back out from that very place again.
Passengers boarding buses and minibuses share similar concerns. Fuseni Muslim, a student traveling from Tamale to Walewale, said the news has made his journey stressful. Road users fear the development could embolden highway robberies, especially along isolated stretches between Walewale and Bolgatanga, where visibility is poor and emergency response times are slow. Many drivers are calling on authorities to urgently review the decision or introduce alternative security measures, including mobile patrols or military support to protect lives and property. Until then, drivers and passengers say they are forced to rely on prayers and cautious travel along a highway they now describe as poor, dangerous, and unguarded. From Walewale, Elias Sotanko reporting for Joy News.
Now, the Deputy Central Regional Education Director, Harriet Odura Idun-Sego, has called on government to rehabilitate the deteriorating internal roads of the Cape Coast School for the Deaf and Blind, describing the current condition as a serious obstacle to the safe and smooth mobility of students with special needs. She made the appeal while receiving food and academic supplies donated by the Vice President, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, stressing the urgent need for more accessible and inclusive learning environment for the students.
Demonstrating government's commitment to inclusive education and social welfare, Ghana's Vice President, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, made a donation to the Kipko School for the Deaf and Blind. Presenting the items on behalf of the Vice President, a presidential staffer at the office of the Vice President, Kakra, explained that the donation is intended to support the nutritional, academic and personal needs of the students.
My mission here is to present the food items on behalf of the Vice President. The food items included rice, mackerel, towels, sanitary pads, etc. This is here just to support the school on their feeding. That is why we know this time it's a little bit difficult for these parents of such students to provide all that the kids need. Hence the idea to support the school in getting this done. They had a special request, and that has to do with the road. Now, it is very true, looking at these disabled people walking through this road is a little bit challenging, and I think that I'll carry the message straight to the Vice President that immediate attention is given to, at least if nothing at all, just the small environment here where the kids move up and down to get the road constructed for them.
While receiving the items, the Deputy Central Regional Education Director, Harriet Ojura Aidan Sego, expressed appreciation for the gesture, but called on government to fix the school's internal road network, describing it as not disability-friendly and a challenge to the students.
And we are privileged to have the Vice President of Ghana, Her Excellency Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, visiting us with all these items. We are very grateful to her for coming to support us with these items. This, like I said, will supplement the food or the feeding grant that the government has sent to us already. Is going to help us increase the quantities of their children's food. And I'm sure this semester, by the time the children go home, they'll be fatter than they came. And their parents will be happy. And we as caregivers will also be happy. We need support for our roads. You can see they are not disability friendly at all. So if they could come and grade them and make it asphalt for us, we'll be very grateful. You can see our bus is as old as it is. We have little challenge. The girls' dormitory has issues. The roof, the ceiling is ripping off. We have had somebody come to change the louvers and the nets, and we still have work there. And we wish that other people will come, ask our needs, and then come and support us with the things that we need. We are Ghanaians, and we should all support ourselves so that our country will go better than it is now. So we are opening up to all people who have the resources to come and be kind to us. Come. We are always ready to receive you. Our doors are always open.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lesol Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Now, back in Accra, the Accra Mayor Michael Alote has given traders occupying pavements in the Central Business District until the end of January to vacate or risk eviction. Traders who were removed during last year's decongestion exercise have since returned, worsening congestion and creating safety risk. More details are in the following report filed by Michelle Latte.
Unauthorized street trading by vendors has not only become a nuisance, but also an age-old albatross that city authorities continue to struggle to tackle. When Accra Mayor Michael Alote was sworn into office, one of the priority areas he sought to address was illegal trading on pavements. Despite last year's decongestion exercise, which aimed to dissuade traders from peddling their wares on pavements, the streets are now far more congested than they were during the crackdown. Speaking to the media after a sword-cutting ceremony, the mayor warned that traders who fail to vacate the pavements by the January 30 deadline will face sanction.
And the last thing I want to say is that I'm giving the traders in Accra up to the end of January. Please, they should move back to the normal red line so that we all live in peace. By the end of January, I am going to clear the streets. This time I'm not putting human face in it because I've been talking to people, I've been walking to them for some time now.
The ceremony also marked the start of rehabilitation works at the Makola Government Clinic, one of the 6 key development projects by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. According to the Accra Mayor, the initiative reflects government's commitment to improving healthcare delivery, with plans also announced to expand and renovate the Makola market.
Since now, African renovation go down. Your Excellency John Dramani.
Since this facility was built, it has never been renovated. After my appointment by the President, I made a commitment to renovate it. And today we are here to cut sod for the project. Once this is completed, we will move on to the market. After finishing work at the Salaga market, we will return here to expand the market. Our goal is to relocate all traders operating on the streets into the market.
Market women at Makola welcomed the announcement, expressing optimism about improved healthcare services and better trading conditions.
We thank the mayor for taking the initiative to renovate the clinic. This is exactly what they should be doing. It makes us proud of the choice we made in voting. When the renovation is completed, they must make sure that the clinic has enough medical supplies. He has done so much, and we are truly grateful for his efforts in helping us.
The upgraded Makola Government Clinic is expected to improve healthcare access for residents and traders in the Central Business District. For Joy News, Michelle Lati.
Well, and that's how we wrap up Joy Newsroom. I'm Shola Sechi. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Thanks for joining us and have a good afternoon.